Hello friends, my name is Shivam from DevOps Schools and I will help you to enable your learning process in various technologies of DevOps, artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data and many more. This is our initiative to help you by sharing multiple tutorials and videos. And if you want any specific tutorials or any particular topic, then please do comment in the below comment section and I will help you with it. Also, please subscribe to our premium services on YouTube, which will give you access to more content and videos to enhance your knowledge about all these topics. Also, if you want me to help you with regards to the online trainings and classroom sessions by our qualified trainers, then please do write me at contact@devopsschool.com. Thank you.
The next question is architecture architecture of Docker. Okay, what is architecture? So basically here when I say architecture, that means there are multiple components which is involved with Docker. Now first one of the component which we have is human. We. Okay, so we interact with Docker client. We interact with the Docker client. Now Docker client interact with Docker daemon, DEAMON. Okay, we cannot directly interact with the Docker daemon. We need a client. Okay, so that is how. Now this Docker daemon and client interaction through REST API. Okay, it's a REST API. That means this client and daemon can be in a different machine also because REST API. Docker daemon can communicate with the Docker container D, and container D communicate with the kernel to uh, create a container. What happens in the container, you know that already. This is managed by runc, managed by runtime environment, managed by runc, run container. So guys, this is the whole architecture. So you talk to client talk to the daemon talk to the container D talk to the kernel create a containers managed by runs. Okay, so this is the whole architecture of Docker. Now out of which this one we call it Docker engine. What we call it? Docker engine. Understood this, guys? Everyone?
So Docker contain client plus REST API, Docker client and till the management is called Docker engine, right?
Right, yeah.
So, Rajesh, who provides the container? Does it come as a
It's
part
a
of the
container
OS?
D. Container D nowadays is coming default many operating system. You when you install Docker, container D also get installed automatically and updated
Okay.
also.
Okay.
Okay. So guys, next one thing is next thing is uh, component of Docker. So which are the components? So guys, here there are four components we have. One is the Docker engine, which I already stated up. Okay. Second one is like we have a registry. We have a registry, and we have what is it? Image. Okay, and then we have container. Okay, so these are the components of Docker. Now each one of these we will come to know, okay, in some time. Okay, so now what is the engine? I think I have already explained it, so done. It's a tool which we install. It's a tool which we install. Now which manage the container, we have spent a lot of time. Now what is a Docker registry? So before Docker registry I should define Docker image. What is a Docker image? Now guys, image is something which is very important in Docker ecosystem. So let me help you to visualize this, the perspective of image concept. So when you run operating system, you create, I mean, when you create operating system, let's say, sorry, when you create a VM, do you use something? Do you use something?
Snapshots.
Let me simplify this. Maybe you use ISO file. Remember?
ISO images.
We
Yeah,
use ghost images.
I mean, yeah,
OVI.
yeah, you are using that right keywords actually. But I just want to be very, casual way, simple. So yes, ISO images you use, right? Right?
Yes.
Yes.
Now in the ISO image, what we have, what it contains in ISO image.
OS.
Packages.
So in this we contains of what?
Installable binaries and packages.
Yeah. So can I put it in a right way? You have a boot file system. Yes. Do you remember boot file system? I said somewhere on top. File system mount is equal to file system. File systems are boot file system, root file system, user file system, application file system. Whereas they have a boot file system, and then plus they have a root file system. Okay, and the root file system, you have one application file system also. Let's say there are certain images which you have a many application installed already, you might be having in your organizations also. Let's say you get a operating system installed Windows, let's say 2010, and then get a zip installed already, or maybe some your organization related utilities get installed already, something like that. So that's called application file system. But you get inside one more image, you know that one more image you get it inside this one, you get one more image. What is this image, any idea?
Anytram FS.
Yeah, so let me help you with it, guys. Do you remember? Let's put it in this way. All of you log into my operating system. Okay, so when you log in to my operating system, my laptop, what do you get? What you see? I log in, you log in. What you see?
Boot.
Desktop.
You don't see a. You see a desktop, correct? Desktop is a part of which file system?
User file system.
Files.
Yeah. So let me ask you one thing. When you log in and I log in, I also see desktop. You also see desktop. Everyone also see the desktop. I see my documents. You also see my documents. Everyone else also see my documents. I see downloads. You see downloads. Everyone will also see the download. How come each user get the same view, same file system? But there is a problem. There is a problem. One more. Sorry for interrupting you. One more thing. I copy some files on my desktop. You cannot see. You copy, I cannot see. How come?
Access restriction.
Access restriction. But how come we get all of us get the same view?
That's a template, default template.
So actually here inside
Default.
operating system also, Windows and Linux guys have created one image. This image we call it user file system. So what happens? What happens when you create a user? When you log into the user, they create one mount. I said right, one mount. Remember this. I have not deleted those. They create one mount. You see here, each user they create one mount. Here you have a single mount for everyone. This is the mount. Okay, this is the mount. This is the mount. Each user get also mount. So same way, each user get their own mount, but this user mount is file system, user file system. Understand that this mount system is user file system. So what I was trying to tell you here is, in operating system only you have image, you get to replicate a number of times, and they mounted that file system to user level. But here there is a difference. In a Docker image, what happens? In a Docker image, you have a only root file system. Understand that. What is that? No boot file system, because I said very clearly, boot file system is a kernel. You won't see that in a container. So you have a root file system plus application file system plus user file system. So when you say what is a image, so image consists of root file system, application file system, user file system. Such as, let's say if you are having root file system of Ubuntu or Fedora or Debian or RHEL plus applications like Apache, and user file system is Apache like this. Make sense, guys? What is image?
Yeah.
So image is something like ISO image. ISO image, you have a boot file system also, but in the Docker image you have only root file system, only application file system, and user file system. It can be three of us, it can be three, or it can be only root file system plus user file system. It is possible. Okay, so this is the Docker image. Now the question is, okay, fine, I understood what is a Docker image, but from where to get it, this image? Am I going to create it? Not today, tomorrow, I mean next class. But how can I download that image? How can I download the image from somewhere else already created? So guys, this ISO image, do you know any website, public website from where you can download this ISO image? Have you used the Vagrant? Vagrant, anyone? Anyone? So typically use one of the popular repository.
No.
It's not repository, registry. See here, guys. This is a Vagrant boxes. So this ISO image you can get it. Hell lot of images you can get it. Hell lot of. See, you can use it in your project. Okay, hell lot of it. Like this. So what we call it? This is a registry. Okay, this is called a registry. Now, so where do we get this Docker image? So you download from the registry, but we have a Docker registry. Now the question is, there's a two kind of Docker registry. One is public, anyone can access. Private, only your organization can access. So when we have a public, then we have a hub.docker.com, Google registry. We have a private, you can set it up using Artifactory software. I think are you using anyone Artifactory or Nexus?
Yes.
So these are the setups you can do that. So if you are your organization level, you can use this one or public. So right now we will use public. Can I go and check up.docker.com? And I'll just log out. Okay. And here I logged out. See, this is the public. Anyone can register. It's like a GitHub. I hope you have used the GitHub, the place where you have a lots of repository. So GitHub is the registry. Okay, GitHub is a registry. Artifactory is a registry. Nexus is a registry. For what? Repository. So different kind of repository. GitHub is having source code repository. Here you have a Docker image repository. Okay, so this is the hub. It's public. Anyone can access it. Can you please check this number? Where is that number? Check this. What they say. Browse over 1 lakh container image from the software vendors. open source project, and many more. 1 lakh images with it. Can you keep your own images? Yes, why not? So guys, image is nothing but a combination of multiple file system, root file system, app file system, user file system. We will develop our own image, but not now. Next class. First, we will use that. So from where to download this image? Docker registry. So now did you understand that what is the engine, image and registry? All of us?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to download here from the hub.docker.com. But the thing is, next one is what is a container? So guys, container, you know that the moment, understand that the moment you run image, yeah, I said image, Docker image. What happens? One user net namespace get created with one net one what is that pid one
Mount.
mount, but this mount is coming from Docker image. Yeah, this mount, this mount, whatever that you can see. So in a simple way, if I say whatever you have in image, think about it, whatever you have in image, you see inside a container. Simple, not very complicated definition. Whatever I said, whatever you have in image, you see inside a container. That means whatever is not there in image, you don't see inside a container. So if someone will create ISO image and they will copy some files here on desktop, I will see it. If they have not copied, they'll not see. So image is important. So this one mount which I was talking about is basically mounted from the Docker image. And here it's not a user file system. I log in, I am get mounted with my user file system. But when you log in inside a container, understand that there's a certain differences. When you log in with this user, you see that user file system. But when you log in inside a container, the container get mounted with their own MNT, and this MNT come from this Docker image. And what is the content of the Docker image? It has a root file system. Root file system, if you forgotten, no problem. I'll show you one more time. This WebEx, the top, the one which is scrolling all the time down, it's really irritating. Root file system, image, and this is a root file system. You have seen it so many times. So guys, did you understand this component of Docker? These are.
Rajesh, I have a question. So this bootfs, when it loads the Docker image, you're saying that everyone has its own root file system.
Yes.
How the boot file system knows which rootfs to pick? Because looking from a host point of view, I have multiple roots.
Root, so that's okay. Root file system, what happens when you run a container? They mount it one from the one copy of this image. That means one image you can have multiple containers. So one image you can have a multiple container. For example, that's what I was talking about. In operating system, they have one image, right? One image of user file system. No matter how many users you create, each one of you will get a desktop. How? Coming from image. So similar concept. What they do when you run an image, they mount the image file system to each container, each user. So that way you go inside a container and you see full blown operating system like an environment. It's not operating system. I said full blown operating system like an environment. So application get fooled saying that boss, I got everything, because you need what? You need user, you got it. PID, you got it. MNT, got it. MNT, net, you got it. So let's run it. What's the problem? CPU also you're getting. You are having also accessibility, which is managed by the kernel. C groups also managed by kernel. So you have it everything. So let me run it. What's your problem? Getting my
Uh,
points?
So suppose I reboot the host system. The host system is starting. The boot FS is getting loaded. Okay, then the next it will load the root FS. So which root FS will it load? The host OS root FS or the particular image root FS?
Okay, I think you misunderstood the concept altogether. Here, when I say root FS, here anyways you have a root FS, no, one system root FS.
Okay, so first the system root FS gets loaded and then the image root FS gets loaded.
It will not get loaded at image. Okay, it's confusion. Understand? Okay, I'll put it in this way. When you system reboot, all of your login session will be active, or you have to re-log in again.
Yeah, relogin again.
Again, yes. So container is nothing but you. You are a container. I am a container. Think in that way. But when you log in, you see. Think about the container difference. When this guy is login, I'll change the color. When this guy is login and this guy is login, this guy see the shared root file system shared. Both are seeing same one. But when you log in this guy, they will see their own file system, their own mount. Okay, not shared, not shared. Getting points?
Yeah.
So now when this guy when you log in, when you run the container, that's the reason I said the moment you run Docker image, one container get created. That means if you run 100 times, 100 container will get created. One container created, one user namespace with this. Are you getting my points, guys?
Yeah.
Okay, any confusion? Okay, so let's recap a little bit of it. Architecture of Docker, component of Docker. So architecture, we have a client daemon called Docker engine. Components of Docker engine, Docker image, which is combination of this one. It can be this one also or this one also. Depends. Registry, containers. Okay. Now
Rajesh, one question. You said it could be just root FS and app FS without user FS.
it can be only
Also?
root FS. Root FS means 1212.
Okay.
Or
And
it can
root
be.
FS and app FS?
Huh?
Root FS and app FS, only those two can be there?
Root FS and user FS has to be there, no, to run application.
Okay. So basically, root plus app is not possible. Root plus user or all three are only root.
Yeah. Without user, how can you run the app?
Yeah. I mean, because you mentioned these two something. So
I said when I say this one, that means this is coming by default. Here, I think here I explained properly.
That's okay. I got that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So guys, can we move on? Any questions? Any doubts? Okay. So now the next question is Docker workflow. Now we'll have to work Docker with the Docker. What happens? What is a Docker workflow? First, I explain pictorially. Understand that this is the one machine, okay, one host. Here you have Docker installed. Now, this is the Docker daemon, okay. This is Docker client. It's installed in the same machine. This is human. Connect to send the command to Docker client. Docker client send the command to Docker daemon. So basically client is used for the filtering the command. You should not send the wrong command to Docker daemon. So because Docker daemon directly connect with the kernel, so it should not get crashed. So Docker client is a filtering mechanism. Now Docker daemon create a container, but from what? I said no. Image. So you have to specify that from which image you want to create a container. Okay. So first Docker daemon check that image in the local registry. LR, local registry. So this is a follow step number 1. If that local registry, that image is not there, let's say it's a fresh machine, it's not there, then it will go and connect to the default registry, which is called hub, Docker hub. Okay. And then from there, it will download and copy it from here. And then from this, you get a one image. That image will get created a container with this, and it's running. Application is running inside that. Did you understand the workflow? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
The hub also is there a priority in which it connects to different hubs?
No, it can be. You can set it up. The default hub is a default registry is Docker hub, but you can set it up with the Artifactory also, Nexus also, Google registry also, or give the URL. So if nothing is there, that has to be default, no? Because without a default, you will get an error saying that no image, from where to download the image and all. If nothing is there, default. You can configure it your own registry also. Okay, guys, did you understand this Docker workflow? Sorry, Docker, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, now I'm going to talk about the container workflow. Container workflow. So, guys, when I say workflows, I understand this. Workflows is a typical word to have a knowing on one tool. It's like how can we work? Tell me the flow in which I can work with it. So container workflow. So now forget about the container workflow. Tell me the VMs workflow. So how do you work with the VMs which you have been using for last so many years? Tell me that.
You start the VM, use it, and then sort it out.
Can we start from scratch? First, I will create a VM, right? Then we will start the VM. Then if it is running, then I will stop the VM. If it is stopped, I will start one more time. If you want to restart, we will restart the VM. If it is running, then you can pause the VM. If it is paused, you can unpause the VM. If it is unpaused, it must be running, then you can kill this. Kill versus stop. And then if it is exited, you cannot remove running things. You have to stop it or kill it and then remove it. Are you familiar with this? Guys?
Yes.
So guys, if you are familiar with the VMs, why not with the containers also? The same workflow with the containers also. You can create, start, stop, start, restart, pause, unpause, kill, remove, and you are done with the container class in one go. Okay.
What does the pause do?
What is the pause? Okay. Assignment. Because there should be something you should also teach me. So pause versus unpurge, you will teach me. Stop versus kill, you will teach me. I'll give you a time for this. But can I go for this now? Next question is Docker installation. How to install Docker?
To get our channel membership, click onto the join button, select the 399 plan and grow your skills immensely.
Can I move on?
Yes.
Okay. So guys, how to install Docker? Again, a lot of instructions, you get it on the official website. Official documents is also pretty good, but I will use my notes because I use it because it's very dedicated for the same work. So if you want to install Docker, you can refer this website. So here you have instruction for HCL, Mac, Ubuntu, and dub. Probably it will help you. But today we will all do that CentOS 7. So we will use this one. Okay. Don't use any commands blindly, by the way. This is for removal of existing. And from here you have to start it. Again, where I am, there's a multiple ways to install through RPM also. You can try, but I don't think so. Now let's not waste time. Through script also you can install. So not less time and use one of this. So how can we install it? I need a demo. So what we do in this case, I am going to create one instance. I will get you the lab infrastructure ready for all of you. Okay, for time being, I am showing you the demo first. Okay. So guys, this is a CentOS 7. I am going to use it. This is the one I am using right now. I will assign I'll go for the 1 CPU 2 GB RAM for time being. That's more than sufficient for the demo. One machine. Storage 30 GB. Adding tags. Name Docker. Existing group. There's no firewall I'm having, so I'm stopping all the opening up everything. Keys I'll give it to you. This is my Rajesh-MBA Mumbai. I created one instance for the demo. Okay, like this I'll create an instance for all of you after the demo during the lab. Okay, now view instance. So this is the one. This is the IP address which we have right now. I got it. This is my IP address. Please do not use it. You will get your own IP address. And I hope you are comfortable using PuTTY and all. Or if you are using Mac, you can use SSH. PEM file is needed. I'll give it to you. Now I put the PuTTY IP address. I have a keys. I don't have a password. And I look at the PPKs. I'll give you the PPK file. This is my PPK file. Open up and done. So I've created a virtual machine for the demo environment on AWS EC2, and I will log into this instance and install the Docker. It takes few seconds to boot up.
I think Rajesh, you have some space in that 14. I think your IP address had some space.
Oh no, that's okay. IP address is correct. It just take few seconds to boot up. That's all. You got it? I'll just make this view better. 16, so you can see well. Yeah. Guys, one more request I am having for all of you. My eyesight is very weak actually. So if you are showing your screen during the troubleshooting, please increase the font size so I can also see it better. Okay. So username is CentOS. Keys I have already given it. So that's all. Now, guys, during installations, I need a sudo access. You know that any software installation you need a sudo access. But same time, Docker also Docker commands. Understand that. I'm writing it here. Docker needs root access or sudo, any of this, because I'm going to run so many Docker commands and I always forget the sudo. I always forget the sudo. So what I do basically, what I do, I become a root and I will run all of my commands as a root. It's not a good practice, but it's just like way to work around, not to show you the lots of error because of my habit problem. So that's important here. Okay, so I'm going to install the Docker so in front of you. So here simply I'm following the instruction. You will also do the same thing, and I'm installing the Docker right now in my one of the YV.
Yeah, Rajesh, when this comes up, I have this question. So what we need for the Docker is the root file system. So when you talk about Linux as such, so almost all flavors of Linux, the file system will be the same, right? Whether CentOS or Ubuntu, the file system, root file system schema should be same. So why we say CentOS root file system and the Ubuntu file system?
Uh, at the high level it will be same, but if you go inside the X and see the executable, it will be different. Okay, so at the high level it's a different. It's the same, but let's say in Ubuntu you have a YAM package manager, and sorry apt. In RHEL and CentOS you have a YAM. So like that, different utilities are there. So more of the core Linux will work on the all machines, all the flavor of Linux, but some special utility you get it, which is easy for work, manage the operating system and also. So that's what we call it flavor. So root file systems are differ, depends on the what executables you have. For example, RHEL is differ from CentOS in certain ways. So what certain ways? Executable. So those are executables, the management utility you won't get it. Ubuntu has a Fedora, Debian, SUSE, HP, Amazon, Kali. So many Linux flavors are having. So they have a different root file system. At the root level, you see the same location, but they might add or delete something and then make it their own flavor actually, customizing.
Okay. So what I get is it's just not the folder structure that it creates, but it copies almost all the executables that needed for that particular OS
Yeah,
as well.
yeah, core OS stuff. Yeah.
Okay. So it does it copy almost all the kernel?
Of course, kernel has to. I mean, oh, wait. In a container, kernel is not there. No, in the host machine you have a
No,
kernel.
no, no. When I say kernel, the lot of those system commands that can be executed, it will copy almost most of it into the container.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
So what part of how much of it will copy? I mean, how much of will be in the root interface?
Basics root file system. Let's say for time being, this one. Let's say how much it will copy. I'll show you during the MS session. But for time being, if I want to tell you, this root file system we call it a base image. Okay, we call it a base image. That means on top of that you have to write more things. This image is been developed by them, not me, not by you, but developed by software vendors, and open source projects. So they have those who own those flavor of Linux, they have developed the base image, and they will have some sort of minimal file root file system structure, minimal structure. If you want to know, I can show you that. In fact, you will learn and you will see yourself, but not now. After that, once I teach you how can you develop your own image. So that's the next class we will do that. So
Sure,
it's
sure.
like this. Today we are learning how to ride bicycle, and next class we'll learn how to assemble bicycle, manufacture the bicycle and stuff like that. Okay, so I think almost done.
So the container D in between, Rajesh. So when there is a command that is executed inside the Docker, say from a CentOS kind of base OS, so that could be little different from what the host OS has. So the container D in between translates that into this.
Yeah, container D basically interact with the kernel, where Docker cannot interact with the kernel. Earlier Docker were using LXCs, but now they are using containerd. So Docker has no capability to interact with the kernel. So for that they purpose, they use a containerd. Now why they use a containerd? Because the entire industry has set a practice. If you want to talk to kernel, use the containerd. Okay, so almost done. It took little bit more time than expected, but it's okay. Because in AWS, typically it's very fast operation. Clear the screen. Done. 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 And finally C. Now I'm installing C Community Edition. E has other features plus Community Edition. So E Enterprise Edition has many features. For these sessions, we are not talking about E because we are covering the Kubernetes. So you don't need a E. Swarm, I mean Docker Swarm is a part of E. Okay guys, so you see here Docker installed. I am going to enable it for the tomorrow, and I am going to start it services of Docker D using this command and Docker info to validate. Done. Now see here, info command, you must check it out. Very important output you get it. So here you see this is the server container D containers 000 image 0, which is the version of server you have 19. Storage driver, see here C groups driver, C group FS for CPU allocations. They have certain plugins are available, network plugin, volume plugins, logs, and all. Swarm inactive, run C, which will manage the containers. Default runtime, run C. And you see some of the kernel version, operating system, CPU, memory, and this is the registry, which is the address of hub.docker.com. This is the API address of hub.docker.com. That's a default registry. If you want to change it, you can change it. Docker root directory and secure registry at the. So overall, yes, this is the Docker installation is done. Now the question is, how can we work with it? Containers. So here this is the stuff which you have to do. So look at my screen, guys. If I do docker -v, I get the version. If I do docker health, I get all the health commands. And if I do docker info, I'll get to know about the info about a docker setup in my host machine. Now if I do docker ps, I'll get to know the list of running containers. ps process table of what? Docker. What you want? Running container. You have none. Container id from image command created status port and names and blah blah blah. Now I want to see all containers running and exited container. A for all. I want to know how many images I'm having. None. Docker image is the command for it. With that introduction, now let me tell you the I'm putting up in the this one. So let me tell you creating a workflow. So now the question is, guys, can you please tell me which app you want to run? Understand that, because which app will tell you which image. An image, you know, that will have everything which we discussed already, everything, complete independent runtime environment, self-contained independent runtime environment for that applications. So the question is, what applications you want to run? That is a most important question. So here I decided Jenkins. Now guys, if you remember Jenkins, have you used the Jenkins?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
those who have not worked, no problem. It's just the app, Java based app, simple, which is a Java web based app, by the way, web based app. So whenever it's a web based, then you need a port, correct? Now you need a port. Now what is needed to run Jenkins? You need a JRE, correct? And JRE, what needed? It required a root file system. When I say root file system, typically you will call, okay, Ubuntu, Fedora, Debian, this, that. So you understand that it's a root file system and everything. So now this all has to be in one image, which is called Jenkins. Do we have it? Let's search. I don't know. So I'm going to search here. I type Jenkins. And here, if I search Jenkins, guys, so many filters you get it. I don't think so I have to teach you the filters because it's a self-explanatory. Certified Docker image, verified publisher, official images, categories wise images. You can do the filter. But right now, here what I got it. Here I got a few results. See how many results you got it. Out of which first image, which is the most popular, okay, was the official image. How many download? How many stars? This is the official. Again, this is image also is official, okay, but you see here. So these are the images you can use it. So first one I have to use it, this one. Now how do you decide? Look at the number of download, look at the number of stars, and click on it. How do you download this image? Remember I said flow. If you forgotten, again remember, I write this one to Docker client to Docker daemon to Docker, all this thing, it happens, remember that. So here Docker pull will pull the images from the hub.docker.com. Again, so many details are there, you can check it out later, but right now Docker pull Jenkins image is pulling from the hub.docker.com, and you see here it's pulling, downloading.
But Rajesh, don't you have to configure Docker Hub registry before you pull it? Or?
It's, I said no, it's a default registry set by Docker itself. If you want to customize it, don't like a hub.docker, then you have to set that.
Okay.
I told you na registry entry in the Docker info, that was the URL.
Okay.
So guys, I got this here image. How can I see it? You know that the command Docker images. Docker images. Okay. So now you have Docker images. This image, latest image ID 2 years ago, 696 MB, pretty high, huge image, but it has a Jenkins. So guys, can I do this workflow? So can I create it? So guys, look at my screen, please. Docker create from what? Jenkins. I get something. It's running? No. What? All created. So can I start this? Docker start what? Container ID. You want to start that container, not image. Now can I check this? It's running up. Can I stop it? Docker stop. Which container? This container. It's running. Exited? Yes, exited. You see here. Now, after that, restart the same container. So Docker ps not running ps-a exited. So can I start this container one more time? Docker start container ID. Is it running? It's running. Can I restart it? So if you see here, it's 9 seconds and restart it. Sorry, my mistake I did. Oh, yo. Restart it. And here, see here, up 2 seconds. I restarted it. Can I pause it? And you see here, paused. See here, paused. Can I unpause it? See here, unpause, again running. Can I kill it? See, exited. Can I remove it finally? RM. Done, guys. And you see here, no container. So you created, started, stop it, started, restarted, pause, unpause, kill, and remove. Your work is done, finish. So guys, this is, we call it container workflow. Did you understand this? Everyone?
Yes.
Rajesh, a question. So, when, like, let's say you stop a container
Uh-huh.
and you reboot the machine, will the container ID will still be there? Or
It will be there, no? It will be there. For example, I'll ask you this way. You stop the VM and then reboot the machine. Don't you think the VM will not be there? VM will be there. Yeah, same way. You created on user, okay? User 1. And you rebooted a machine. Don't you think the user 1 will be there?
Yeah.
File system will be there, runtime. They will not consume the CPU and RAM until they start running. But file system mount will be there. Mount will be there.
Okay.
Guys, more questions? Okay, so now guys, where is the client? So Docker, which Docker? If I see here, which Docker? See, this is the client. Where is a Docker D? See, it's here. User bin Docker D. Where is a container D? See, bin container D. And Docker will manage the run C, right? Docker start create Jenkins. One more time because I deleted last one. So Docker start container. And here if you see ps-er grep Docker. See here. Right now this container is running, okay? And this container, who's been managing this container? Runs it. So container D with the help of runtime root var run docker runtimes. So management of the container is done by runs. Got it?
Rajesh, when you said remove, no, the remove doesn't remove the local registry from the local registry. Is
Uh,
it so?
Local registry, remember I remove the container, not image.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so you want to create delete images also, no problem. So see here,
Okay.
images
Fine,
are
fine.
there, no? So you can create delete images also. So here there's the images, right? Can I delete this? Docker rm I stand for image. Which okay, sorry, bad command I wrote. So Docker
Okay, no problem. Yeah.
images,
Fine, fine. I
Docker
got the answer.
rmi and Jenkins. Now I cannot remove. Why? Why?
Because you have a
There is a
running.
running instance.
running instance.
Not instance, container. Docker stop and Docker rm. I should delete it. Else it will not allow you to delete that image because it's referencing. No, same image is empowering that container. And see, complete clean work I did. You see, no containers within a few seconds. You see here, don't have to waste time, saving lots of time, cost. And you see here, Docker ESFN. So this is the way you can work with Petco.
Rajesh, one question. This Docker image now downloaded to the host machine, right? So once it is in the productizing, always when we are spawning new containers, okay. So always it has to be downloaded to the host, or it will be a how when we be in a remote server, and from that it can be started something like that, or it
No, I said
always has to be there in the local
no,
system.
I said very clearly. Remember again here. I will create a container. I'll send this command to client. Client will send this command to Docker daemon. Docker daemon will check, do you have that image in local registry? If it is not there, download from the hub or any remote. It will create a container from the local only and always. Otherwise, container will become slow, no? Understand that?
Rajesh, can we have a list of repositories like Docker Hub, and we can append those list?
Okay, so your questions probably I will rewrite. I mean, rephrase actually. So when you are saying, okay, hub.docker.com is the one, okay, which is the default. Okay, so for that, if it is a default, what you did, Docker pull Jenkins. So now this what has happened, that API they appended with this one. But let's say if you have a two-way, either change the default. In that case, you can do that also, or there's one more workaround. If you see that this image, some image is not in your here but somewhere in Artifactory, so something like this you can use this. Got it?
So, and I just wanted to know whether there can be a collection which we can attach to the list of repositories.
Collection
So,
means?
Can I have a vector like hub.doctor.com, comma nexus, comma like that? Can we have, or it can be only one at a time?
Conceptually I think that's not needed, because you can get an images from any repository using the default, using this command, or not a default using this command. Ultimately it has to be here. Now how do you pull it? Pull command, and you can pull a number of images, depends on access, and then you can use it, because ultimately the image a container is being created from your things. Probably your question is, can I have a list of registry created and it will try to pull it from that? You don't need a list of registry, right? Because images are not like a 2-3 repository you will get it. This image is public, this image is private. Simple.
Okay.
So requirement is not here. In probably you are thinking about something like a Maven or something, Maven repository management. So no, it's not needed here.
But suppose we said that currently it is going to download from the hub.docker, right? So we suppose in the industry we will go to our own Artifactory, correct? So Docker private Artifactory will move on, right? So then can have a multiple Artifactory from the different teams. Maybe platform team will publish their Artifactory in somewhere and other application.
To get our channel membership, click onto the join button, select the 3D99 plan and grow your skills immensely.
Team may publish in somewhere else. Okay, in such kind of scenario, can we point to the multiple or something like that?
See, I'm again repeating the same statement. Default, the definition of defaults, it can be only one. If the default, it can be one, whichever you keep it, I don't care. Artifactory 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Google Registry or hub.docker.com. Only one default you can set. That's a default. That's the rule of the default. Now, if you have a multiple repository, you are storing in a different, so use the full path, no? Just like I'm mentioned here. Use the full path. Are you getting my points?
Yeah. So the full path. Okay. Oh, okay. During Docker pull command, you can use it. That's it. Okay. Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Rajesh, I have a question. So basically, when you're creating a container, that Jenkins container, and you get a container ID, right? So if you see line number 68, it gives a big container ID when you're doing Docker start that container ID. But when you're doing a Docker PS, the container ID is coming as a small section of that big container ID. So are those the same value, or
yeah,
which one should we use?
It's the same value.
It's the same.
Yeah, that's a short form first 7 character, and this is long form 40 character. What is this? This is, we call it SHA. So Docker is powered by the SHA-256 algorithm. SHA-256 is manage the basically file system of the images. Probably I'll talk about in the Docker image section in detail. Don't want to get lost everything at a time. But yes, what is this? This is a container ID 40 character managed by SHA-256. In fact, images have a 40 character. Okay, so if you see here, image has a 40 character. Docker images. So there's no right. Docker pull Jenkins. Oh, I should have done a smaller one. No problem. So it has images, image ID, player ID, all these things. I'll talk about it. You see, these are the short one. Okay, it will be in real 40 character.
Okay.
This is a way to identify that particular object.
So instead of using the long form format, we can just use the initial few characters just to identify whether it is unique.
Yeah.
Okay.
When you do the PS, they will give you short form.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. So who's going to ask last questions now?
So Rajesh, I have a question. So when we are talking about VMs, so VM gives you a control over the resources. And here, when you started this Docker, I saw like a default C group got assigned to it, some C group FS. So can we limit the assignment of resources for a container?
Yes, why not? You can limit in Windows also, by the way. So you can go to this process. You can say, you can set priority, you can set high, normal, this, that, set affinity. All these things you can do in here also. So similar way you can do with the containers also. While creating a container itself, you can set, okay, you should not use more than this CPU, you should not use more than this RAM and storage, everything you can customize it. But right now I didn't want it to complicate, so we'll get into it. Okay guys, so now I think we are done with this demo, and I will let you do this assignment post lunch. So after this post lunch, I'll give you the lab infrastructure. Same time, I'll give you that. All this command, whatever I run, you have to do that. And same time, you have assignment also, which you need to teach me. And teach me after trying in your boxes, because don't read the official documentation on Google, because I can also read the Google. So that's it. What is the difference between pause and unpause? What is the difference between stop and kill after once you do that? Okay. So this is a lab, this is assignment. post lunch we are going to meet up at 1:30 and drive this activity. Okay, shall we wrap it up now?
Yeah.
Okay guys, see you after.
Please enroll our general membership for $399 plan to get access of all the parts.
Along with that, you can access our other tutorials such as Docker, Ansible, Jenkins, Terraform, Splunk, AWS, Azure, and various other DevOps related premium tutorials with our channel membership. If you would have any issues with our channel membership, you can drop an email to us at contact@devopsschool.com, or you can also unsubscribe from channel membership anytime if you don't want to continue or did not like the video. To get our channel membership, click onto the join button, select the $399 plan and grow your skills immensely.
Please be kind enough to like it, and you can comment any of your doubts and queries. We will reply to them at the earliest.
Thanks for watching.